Hello there. Welcome back to Grade Level Business Studies. This video, we want to look at the question paper, that is our paper 2. And we are going to look at question 2 on this question paper on business ventures. So we are going to start on 2.1, which reads the name 3 aspects that must be considered when starting a business. So you'll see that there are various aspects that should be considered when we are starting a business. For example, we might look at the culture of the organization. We have to set the culture of the organization before we start operating. So remember, the culture of the organization, we are saying these are the set of values or beliefs or attitudes that outlines and influence employee behavior within the organization. So basically, we go to another session to try to see in terms of those aspects that should be taken into consideration. So a good culture of organization is the first one, and then also we should ensure the code of conduct is in place. Also, code of conduct. So, code of conduct, we are just saying we should make sure that a set of rules outlining the norms and responsibilities or proper practices of an individual organization is set before we start operating. So basically, code of conduct, we are referring to the norms, responsibilities, or proper practices that we require at our organization. So basically, that's what we have then. Thirdly, a provision for ongoing training. So we should put in place a mechanism for ongoing training for the employees so that we start to develop them. So we go to the next one. We've got possible environmental changes. So we should be able to take into account that our environment can change from one time to the other. So we should be able to do that when we arrive on those situations. So this is the next one that we have. Then lastly, we've got possible risk factors also should be taken into account. So basically, those are the ones that we have. On the first part of our question, that is on aspects that must be considered when starting a business. Remember, we've got 3 marks, so you can pick 3 from the points that we've just listed. So 2.2 outline 2 factors that must be considered when composing a flyer. But we know that a flyer basically is a small handbill, or as you can just describe it as a small handbill for advertising an event, be it a product. So it can be used in advertising. Any advertising that we can do in terms of a good or a service, we can use it. That's a flyer. So basically, our question now requires us to outline 2 factors that must be considered when composing a flyer. So we have got various factors that we can take into consideration. The flyer should identify the benefits. So benefits also becomes one of the factors, and also the title, the typical title that we should put on the flyer should be attractive to the audience that we are going to give those flyers. So we go to our other section, try to see factors that must be considered when composing a flyer. So we have first one saying write a title that will attract the reader's attention. That's the first one. Second one saying use graphics to attract attention. Obviously, what are the benefits of the product or service? So the product or service that I'm going to offer, we should outline the benefits of that flyer. So briefly, I just describe your benefits. That the benefits that they are going to enjoy from consuming, if it's a product or a service. So identify points that are clear. So whatever we're going to put there should be something which is clear. So basically, that's what we have in 2.2. I'll go to the next part of the question, whereby it reads, read the scenario below and answer the question that follows. We are given a scenario of Zo Properties, that is ZP in brackets. Zo Properties owns properties around the country. Businesses enter into in agreement with ZP and pay on a monthly basis. So 2.3.1 is identify the business having represented in the scenario above. Motivate your answer by quoting from the scenario. So you see that if you come here, you see that it's saying business entered an agreement with ZP and pay on a monthly basis for the use of property for a specified period. So basically, use of property for a specified period becomes the need that we have. So this is leasing. Remember, this is a lease. Remember, on the description of a lease is a legal document. I described as a legal document outlining the terms under which one party agrees to rent property from another party. So basically, obviously, through renting, there is the issue of paying. This is where we are having a fee that a monthly fee that is being paid there for a specified period. So basically, that's where. So they're saying leasing is what we have for 2.3.1. We've got leasing, and then on motivation, we are now saying we've got the reference that we pay on a monthly basis for the use of property for a specified period. So this is what we have. So we go to the next part of the question. The next part of the question is explain the disadvantages of the business having identified in question 2.3.1 on the business. So basically, we've identified leasing there. So we are supposed to put down the disadvantages of our leasing. So basically, that's what we want to described there. So going to another section, would see that this is a list of disadvantages of leasing that we have. We are seeing that the first one is saying at the end of the leasing period, the lessee does not become the owner of the asset through the sum of payment. Through the sum of payment is being done over a certain period. So basically, we are saying after paying for the lease agreement, which means the lessee is the person who's paying the amount periodically. So basically, we are saying after paying, the one that is paying, that is the lessee, does not own the property, so it becomes a disadvantage. So basically, that's what we have as our first disadvantage. We can just indicate it as our first disadvantage. The second one is saying lease payments are treated as expenses rather than as equity payments towards an asset. So basically, they are treated as expenses. That's the basic expenses. Remember, they reduce the amount of our profit, and but there's no increase in terms of our equity, so it becomes a disadvantage. Equity basically we are saying capital. The last one is saying it might be difficult for a business to raise or access further loans because leasing is treated as debt. So basically, this statement is trying to say when you are leasing, when you're paying leasing, it's the same as we have accessed the loan. We have created a debt. So basically, it can be a disadvantage to you when you want now to apply for a loan. Those are some of the things that can be taken into consideration by financial institutions when you apply for a credit line. So this is what we have on this question. Then we try to see on the next question. 2.4 is saying distinguish between partnership and personal liability company. So basically, we also need to understand what is partnership, what is personal liability company. So a partnership, basically, it is a legal arrangement that allows two or more people to share responsibility for a business. So you see that this partnership we are saying our next question 2.4 is distinguish between partnership and personal liability company. We are saying we need an explanation also of partnership and also explanation of personal liability company. So we are saying under partnership, we are saying it's a legal arrangement that allows two or more people to share responsibility for a business. So you also see that those are partners share ownership and profits. So basically, that's why in terms of partnership, the personal liability company, they are jointly and several liable together in terms of the parties that we have in terms of personal liability company, they are jointly and several liable together with the company for any debts and liabilities arising. So that's the explanation on personal liability company. So here the question is asking us to distinguish, which means we are supposed to come with differences between partnership and personal liability company. So we try to see in terms of those differences. So we have them here. So the first difference is saying no specific requirements in terms of the name. So in terms of how you're supposed to come up with the name of a partnership, there are no requirements that are set. You can just come up with any type of name. But other personal liability company would see that the name must end with INC. Partnership are owned by partners, whereby personal liability company is owned by shareholders. So this becomes the second difference. Then difference partners contribute capital. That is also skills and also contribute assets, whereby a personal liability company shares issued to the founders promoters. So in other words, the equity under partnership is being raised through capital, the contribution of the partners, and then the equity under personal liability company is raised by the issue of shares. So basically, the capital is also a difference. Then, the next one is saying partners share profits according to the partnership agreement, and then under personal liability company, profits paid in dividends according to number of shares owned. So lastly, we've got formed by legal agreement between partners, and usually a partnership agreement, that is a partnership article, is signed. Then under personal liability company, file memorandum of incorporation, which is MOI, with the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. So this basically sums up all the differences that we can have between partnership and personal liability company. But going back to our question, you see that our question has got 8 marks. Obviously, we need 4. At most 4 differences are between the two. So we go to the next part of the question, which say describe the meaning of the following planning tools. We've got timeliness and then project planning. So these are, if we go to other section, we have that description whereby we are saying timeliness is a visual presentation of chronological information. So that's basically the explanation of timeliness. And we can also try to bring it down as a way of displaying a list of events in date order. And lastly, a simple tool that lists all the activities that need to be done and the date order in which they will be completed. So On project planning now, we are saying it's a detailed description of all activities that needs to be completed to execute a project successfully. Then lastly, we've got consists of the actual plan, the scheduling of the task and risk management to protect the business from financial disaster. So those are the explanations that we have in terms of timeliness and project planning. So we go to see in terms of the next question that we have. Obviously, we move on to the next part, which is 2.6, which reads, read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. So we're given a scenario that we are given there of Tabo, former stationers, that is TMS, and it reads Tabo resigned from his previous employment to start his own business venture known as TMS. The company is offering stationery to the public and businesses. Tabo describes himself as ambitious, hardworking, and has a positive outlook. He perseveres and has a clear focus on profitability and sustainability of the business. First part of the question is saying identify 4 qualities of an entrepreneur from the scenario above. So basically, if you go there, you'll see that Tabo described himself as ambitious. That's one. Hardworking, true. And then we've got he has a positive outlook. So positive outlook becomes the third one. But if you go to the next sentence, it reads he perseveres. So it means perseverance also is one of the qualities, and there's a clear voice on profitability and sustainability of the business. So you can just pick perseverance there. Remember, the question is looking for 4. So we are saying 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are the 4 that we have. So we come here, we see that we go there for 2.6.1, qualities of an entrepreneur with ambitious, hardworking, positive outlook, and perseverance. So those are the ones that we identified. So we go to the next part of the question and say, name 2 key success factors from the scenario above. So if you go back there to the information that we are given, we can as well try to pick those success factors according to the information that we are given there. So we can just try to identify them from the information given. If you come to the last sentence, it says he perseveres and there's a clear focus on profitability and sustainability. So profitability and sustainability becomes the success factors. So we come here and see that we have got our profitability and sustainability as our responses. Then we go to the last part of the question, which is saying recommend factors that the presenter must consider when designing a presentation. So when you are designing a presentation, what are the factors that a presenter must take into what the presenter must take into consideration? So those are some of the factors that we want to look at. So obviously, when you're making a presentation, there are certain factors that you should take into consideration. For example, you should know your audience. So prepare a presentation according to the audience that you are going to deal with. For example, you're going to deal with school-going age children, and you're going to do with elders maybe above 40 or 50. So the approach is going to be different. So basically, that's the basic that you have to know. And also the language that you are going to use. So you have also to take note of the language that you are going to use as we are preparing for a presentation. Very important. So our question is 8 marks. Obviously, we try to see if 4 points that we can base in terms of recommendations in terms of factors that must be taken into consideration when designing a presentation. So we have raised the issue of the language that you use, and then the issue of knowing your audience again becomes some of the factors. So we go to another section to try to see in terms of those factors. The first one is saying know your audience, use simple language. Also, these are the ones that we've just explained. Then know the objective of the presentation or clear purpose. So there should be an objective of the presentation. So familiarize yourself with the objective of that presentation so that you can have a direction in terms of how you are going to prepare it. And then I'll go to the include visual aids. Visual aids are going to come as aids to the presentation that you are going to make so that the audience can comprehend the information that you are going to send to them. So basically, that's what we in terms of the essence of visual aids. Then we've got a proofread and the report to ensure it is error-free. Obviously, you have to do that so that when you're presenting, you don't make mistakes. Then you go to the next one, saying use bright color to increase visibility. Maybe you are using a projector. The presentation should have some color so that wherever there are emphasis, maybe you can aid the emphasis with the colors that you'll be putting on those areas. Then we go to next one, saying structure information in a logical sequence that is appropriate. Then lastly, use a legible font and font size. So basically, the font size that you are going to use also should be appropriate, and then also should be also legible. So basically, and that's what we have in terms of the factors that you should take into consideration before you do a presentation. So basically, that's what we have. Thank you for listening. Let's not forget to subscribe and share to our channel. Let's share the link to our colleagues who are doing our grade 11 business studies. As for this video, I'm signing out. We'll meet again in the next video.